It was a quiet night in the small town of Millfield. The wind whispered through the tall cornfields, and the stars shone brightly above. Tom, a young farmer, was finishing his chores in the barn. He loved the peaceful nights, the kind where nothing ever happened. But tonight, something unusual tore through the calm. A sudden loud crash shook the earth. Tom stumbled back, his heart racing. He ran outside and looked up at the sky. A strange light streaked across the horizon, burning brighter than any shooting star he had ever seen. Then, with a heavy, metallic thud, it landed somewhere in the forest beyond his farm. Tom's curiosity overcame his fear. He grabbed a flashlight and headed into the trees. The forest was dark, the branches scratching at his jacket. Every step he took made his heart pound harder. Then, he saw a small, twisted piece of metal glowing faintly. And beside it, shivering and terrified, was a girl. At first, Tom thought she was human. But her skin had a faint silver sheen, and her eyes glowed softly in the dark. She was small, maybe 12 or 13, with tangled hair and bruises on her arms. She looked at him with fear, but there was something in her eyes, a silent plea for help. Tom crouched slowly, keeping his voice calm. "Hey, it's okay. I won't hurt you." The girl didn't speak. She only shook her head and took a step back. Tom noticed strange marks on her skin, almost like glowing lines that pulsed softly with light. He realized she was not from his world. "Come on," he whispered. "You can hide in my barn. It's safe." The girl hesitated. Her eyes darted to the forest, then back at him. Finally, she nodded slightly and followed him. Tom guided her carefully, keeping low. Every rustle of leaves made her flinch. Once they reached the barn, he helped her inside. The barn smelled of hay and animals. Tom gave her some water from a tin cup. She drank slowly, glancing around as if expecting someone or something to appear at any moment. "What's your name?" Tom asked softly. She didn't answer. Instead, she pointed to the corner of the barn and drew a small symbol in the dirt. Tom stared at it, puzzled. It looked like no language he had ever seen. Suddenly, the wind howled outside. Tom felt a chill run down his spine. Strange lights flickered across the forest edge, like searchlights moving through the trees. The girl gasped and hid behind him. "They're looking for you," Tom whispered. Who are they?" The girl shook her head. She didn't know, or maybe she couldn't tell him. Tom realized she had no one else, no family, no friends. She was alone, scared, and completely out of place. Tom made a quick decision. He would protect her. Nobody could know she was there, not the neighbors, not the authorities, not anyone. He blocked the barn doors and climbed into the hayloft, keeping watch through the small window. Hours passed. The girl stayed close to him, trembling, whispering strange sounds he couldn't understand. Tom tried to comfort her, telling stories about his life, about the farm, about quiet nights like this one. Slowly, she seemed to relax a little, but her eyes never left the forest. Then, just before dawn, a strange hum filled the air. The girl's body stiffened, her glowing eyes staring toward the edge of the woods. Tom turned his flashlight toward the sound, and in the distance, he saw a faint outline of something large and moving. Fear gripped him. Whatever was coming, it was not human. And whatever it wanted the girl. Tom held his breath, ready to defend her. He didn't know who or what was out there, but he knew one thing: he couldn't let them take her. Not now. Not ever. And in that tense silence, the night seemed to stretch forever, holding its secret just beyond the trees. The morning sun barely touched the farm when Tom finally dared to breathe a little easier. The alien girl, still shivering, sat close to him on the barn floor. She had no name, no words, just those glowing eyes that seemed to see far beyond the world he knew. Tom didn't know where to start. How could he explain who she was, or why she had come crashing into his life? He decided to call her Lyra, a simple name that felt right. Lyra didn't respond. She only tilted her head, watching him carefully. Her eyes flickered with a faint light. And Tom realized she wasn't just scared, she was aware in ways he couldn't understand. Tom gave her some breakfast bread and water, and she ate slowly, almost cautiously. As she ate, he noticed something strange. Her hands glowed faintly whenever she touched the food. The bread seemed to repair itself, the crumbs closing back together as if her touch healed them. Tom's jaw dropped. Lyra had powers. Before he could process it, a shadow passed outside the barn. Tom froze. The wind had shifted, carrying the sound of footsteps. A neighbor, Mr. Grady, was walking his dog near the edge of the forest. Tom's heart pounded. He had to hide Lyra quickly. "Stay here," he whispered. Lyra nodded, almost as if she understood every word. He covered her with an old blanket and dimmed the light. Mr. Grady paused outside the barn, sniffing the air like something smelled wrong. Tom held his breath, pretending to fix the barn door. The man grumbled and walked away, but Tom knew it was only a matter of time before curiosity or suspicion would bring someone back. Back inside, Lyra's gaze lingered on the forest. Tom sat beside her, trying to think of a plan. She had no family, no home, and she clearly feared something or someone. The more he looked at her, the more he felt that she was not from this planet. That truth made his chest tighten. He had never faced anything like this before. Hours passed. Lyra slowly moved closer to Tom, leaning her head on his shoulder. It was a silent sign of trust. Tom felt a warmth in his chest. He realized she needed him as much as he needed to protect her. He promised silently that he would keep her safe. Suddenly, Lyra's glowing eyes darted toward the barn door. She whispered something in her strange, soft language. Tom tilted his head, trying to understand. Though he couldn't understand her words, the urgency was clear. Someone or something was coming closer. Tom grabbed a flashlight and peeked outside. Through the trees, he saw a flicker of movement, like a shadow slipping between the trunks. He couldn't see clearly, but the forest didn't feel safe anymore. Lyra shivered beside him, pulling her small frame closer. "I won't let them get you," Tom said firmly. "We'll figure this out." Lyra's hands glowed again, brushing against the hay. A faint golden light spread, illuminating the barn in a warm glow. Tom realized her powers could help them hide or even defend themselves if needed. But he also knew it could attract more attention. The rest of the day passed slowly. Tom brought food, kept the barn doors closed, and stayed alert. Lyra watched him, studying every move. She seemed to understand that this human could be trusted, even though he was different from anyone she had known. As night fell, strange sounds returned, the rustling of leaves, distant footsteps, and low hums from the forest. Lyra's body stiffened, and her glowing eyes tracked the movements outside. Tom knew they had limited time. Whoever or whatever was looking for Lyra was getting closer, and soon, hiding might not be enough. He looked at her and whispered, "Tomorrow, we'll need a plan. We can't stay here forever." Lyra nodded slightly, her eyes glowing brighter, almost as if agreeing. And in the shadows of the barn, the two of them waited, hearts pounding, for the danger that lurked just beyond the trees. The next morning, Tom woke to the sound of birds, but something felt off. The forest, usually calm at dawn, seemed restless. Lyra sat quietly in the corner of the barn, her glowing eyes scanning the shadows outside. Tom knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. As he stepped outside to check the perimeter, a figure appeared on the dirt road leading to his farm. A woman, tall and confident, walked slowly, her boots crunching on the gravel. She carried a worn backpack and a strange metallic device that glimmered in the sunlight. Tom felt a chill run down his spine. The woman approached, smiling softly. "Hello there," she said. "I'm Mara. I'm just passing through. Nice farm you've got." Tom forced a smile, but his instincts screamed caution. "Thanks," he replied. "Not many people visit out here." Mara's eyes flicked toward the barn. "I noticed your lights last night," she said casually. "Didn't mean to disturb you." Tom's heart raced. Did she know about Lyra? He quickly scanned the barn. Lyra was hiding, her small body pressed against the hay. Her glowing eyes widened when she saw Mara, and she stepped back, trembling. Tom's mind raced. Could he trust Mara? She seemed kind, but something about her presence felt off. "I'm fine," he said, forcing calm. "Just finishing chores." Mara nodded, but her gaze didn't leave the barn. She crouched slightly, inspecting the ground. "You're careful." "I like that. Not everyone notices small things like tracks or broken twigs." Tom's suspicion grew. How could she know about tracks? Or the strange footprints Lyra left when she ran into the barn? He felt a protective anger rising. "Who are you really?" he asked. Mara smiled, almost teasing. "Just a traveler. Someone who notices things others miss. But I promise, I mean no harm." Lyra's glowing hands twitched, and she whispered something in her strange language. Tom couldn't understand the words, but the fear in her tone was clear. She didn't trust Mara. Tom stepped closer to Lyra. "It's okay," he whispered. "Stay behind me." Mara tilted her head, as if amused by Tom's protectiveness. "I see," she said. "You care for her. That's rare. Very rare." Tom narrowed his eyes. "You know her?" he asked cautiously. Mara's smile faded slightly. "I know things," she said softly. "Things about where she came from. Things that coup." Fear gripped Tom. Did Mara know Lyra's secrets? Did she come to help or to take her away? He looked at Lyra, who clutched at his sleeve, glowing faintly. Tom made a silent promise. No one would harm her while he was around. Suddenly, Mara's device beeped softly. She glanced at it, and then at the barn. "Looks like someone or something is nearby," she said, her voice calm but urgent. "You may not have much time." Tom's heart raced. Whoever or whatever was hunting Lyra was closer than ever. And now, with Mara in the picture, he wasn't sure who to trust. "Listen," Mara said, stepping closer. "I can help you. But you have to let me in. You can't do this alone." Tom hesitated, glancing at Lyra. The girl's eyes glowed brighter, almost pleading. Could he trust Mara? Or would letting her in put them all in danger? Before he could answer, a sudden flash of light erupted in the forest, and a low, metallic hum filled the air. Lyra gasped and clutched his arm. Tom felt the ground vibrate beneath his feet. The danger was no longer far away, it was here, waiting, watching, and ready to strike. Tom looked at Mara, her calm expression hiding something he couldn't read. He knew the next decision could change everything. And in the quiet tension of the morning, with the wind whispering through the cornfields, Tom realized that their lives were about to become far more dangerous and far more complicated than he had ever imagined. The forest outside Tom's farm was alive with a strange, low hum. The trees swayed as if moved by an invisible wind, and shadows flickered at the edges of the clearing. Lyra pressed herself against Tom, her glowing hands trembling. "Stay close," Tom whispered. "We need to move now." Mara stepped forward, her calm expression hiding urgency. "If we stay, they'll find her," she said. "And they won't hesitate." Tom hesitated, glancing at her. Could he trust her? Mara's words sounded true, and the metallic hum in the distance was growing louder. He had no choice. He nodded. "Okay, let's go." The three of them slipped out of the barn, moving quietly through the tall grass. Lyra's small hand clutched Tom's sleeve, her eyes scanning the shadows. She whispered something in her strange language, and Tom realized she could sense danger before it arrived. Suddenly, a bright light cut through the trees. A drone or something like it hovered above the field, scanning. Its beam fell on the barn, then shifted toward them. Lyra gasped and squeezed Tom's hand. "Run!" he shouted. They sprinted through the cornfields, the tall stalks brushing against their faces. Lyra's glowing hands lit the way, but each flicker risked giving away their position. Tom led them toward the forest edge, but the hum of the drones or whatever they were grew louder. Mara's voice called out softly, guiding them. "This way. There's an old trail through the woods. It's hidden, but it'll lead us out." Tom followed, trusting her words, even as his mind screamed caution. Lyra's breathing was rapid, her fear palpable. Every step they took, it felt like something was watching, waiting to strike. They reached the forest trail, narrow and winding. The tall trees blocked the drone's lights for a moment, giving them a chance to hide. But the silence didn't last long. A low metallic whine echoed through the trees. Shadows moved faster than they should. "Keep going," Mara urged, pulling them deeper into the forest. Suddenly, a branch snapped underfoot. Tom froze, his heart pounding. From the darkness, a larger shape emerged, another drone, bigger and more menacing than the first. Its red sensors scanned the forest floor, zeroing in on them. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. Without thinking, she reached out her hands. A burst of golden light shot from her fingers, striking the drone. Sparks flew, and the machine wobbled, then crashed into a tree. Tom stared in shock. "Be careful," he shouted. "That flash will attract more." Mara nodded, her device beeping rapidly. "We don't have time. Keep moving." The three of them ran as fast as they could. Lyra's glowing hands lit their path. Tom's strong legs carried them through roots and fallen branches. And Mara guided them toward an old, hidden bridge that led to safer woods. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only minutes, they reached a small clearing. The forest was quieter now, the drones falling behind. Lyra collapsed to the ground, exhausted, her glow dimming. Tom knelt beside her, brushing leaves from her hair. "You're safe. For now," he whispered. But even as he spoke, the hum in the distance reminded them that danger was not gone, it was only waiting. Mara crouched beside them, checking her device. "We can't stop here," she said. "They're tracking her. If we rest too long, they'll catch up." Tom nodded, helping Lyra to her feet. "Then we keep moving. We find a place where no one can find us." The three of them continued into the forest, shadows stretching long in the fading light. Every rustle, every whisper of wind made them jump. The night was far from over, and Tom knew one thing for certain. Whatever hunted Lyra was relentless. And their escape was only the beginning of a far greater danger, and as the forest swallowed them deeper into its darkness, the bond between human and alien grew stronger, a bond that might be the only thing that could save them. The forest was quiet now. But the tension didn't leave Tom's chest. Lyra walked slowly beside him, still trembling, her glowing hands casting soft light on the path. Mara stayed a few steps ahead, scanning the trail for signs of danger. Finally, they reached a small clearing with an old, abandoned cabin. It was hidden by trees and vines, far from prying eyes. Tom helped Lyra inside and gently closed the creaking door behind them. For the first time since the crash, they could breathe a little easier. Lyra sat on the dusty floor, her small frame curled up. She whispered in her strange language, her glowing hands moving nervously. Tom knelt beside her. "I want to understand," he said softly. "You can trust me." She looked at him, eyes wide, and then pointed to herself, then to the sky. Tom frowned. "You came from space?" He didn't fully understand, but her gestures were clear. Lyra nodded, her glowing fingers tracing lines in the dust that looked like stars and planets. Mara watched silently. "She's been through a lot," she said. She's not just lost. She's running from something big. Tom's curiosity grew. "Tell me," he whispered. "What happened to you?" Lyra hesitated. Then, with small, careful movements, she drew shapes in the dirt ships, strange cities, and creatures he couldn't recognize. She traced her finger along one drawing, pointing to a figure being captured by tall, dark machines. Her hands glowed brighter as she showed fear and pain. "She's telling us about her people," Mara explained softly. "They were attacked, and most of them were taken. She escaped, but she's all alone now." Tom felt a pang of sorrow. The alien girl, this fragile being who had crashed into his barn, had lost her home, her family, and her world. And now she had to trust a human stranger. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone anymore," he said firmly. "We'll help you." Lyra's eyes softened, and for a moment, a small smile appeared. She reached out, touching Tom's hand. The warmth of her glow was comforting, almost like a heartbeat. He realized that despite her powers and alien origins, she was just a scared child in need of protection. Mara studied her carefully. "We can hide her, but it's not enough. Whoever is chasing her, they won't stop until they find her. We need a plan to keep her safe, and fast." Tom nodded. "We'll do whatever it takes." His voice was steady, but inside, fear churned. He didn't know who or what was hunting Lyra, but he knew it was dangerous, relentless, and close. Suddenly, a distant hum reached the cabin. Lyra stiffened, her glowing eyes widening. She pointed toward the broken window and whispered something urgent. Tom's heart sank. The enemies were following them. The forest wasn't safe anymore. "We have to move," he said quickly. Lyra stood, clutching his sleeve. Mara grabbed her backpack and motioned to the back door. "There's a hidden path behind the cabin," she said. "It leads to a place they won't find easily." Tom helped Lyra through the tall weeds and over fallen logs. Her small frame moved cautiously, but every step carried fear and hope. Mara led the way, scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. As they moved deeper into the forest, Lyra began pointing to stars and making soft sounds. Tom realized she was not just showing her past, but giving them a glimpse of hope, her story, her memories, and perhaps a hint of where they might find safety. The night air grew colder, and the shadows of the forest stretched long. But Tom felt a growing resolve inside him. Lyra had trusted him with her story, and now it was his turn to protect her. Whatever dangers lay ahead, he would face them. And as the trio disappeared deeper into the woods, the hum of pursuit echoed faintly behind them, a constant reminder that their journey had only just begun. The hidden path Mara led them down twisted through thick forest. Moonlight barely penetrated the trees, making shadows dance around them. Lyra clung tightly to Tom's sleeve, her glowing hands faintly illuminating the narrow trail. Each step carried fear, but also a desperate hope that they might finally reach safety. Finally, they reached a clearing where an old, abandoned spaceship sat half buried in the grass. Its metallic hull was scratched and weathered, but it offered a promise of shelter. Tom's heart leaped with relief. "This must be it," he whispered. "We're safe now." Lyra ran toward the spaceship, her small hands touching the cold metal. For the first time in days, she smiled faintly. Tom followed, carrying her carefully inside. Mara lingered outside, her device still glowing softly. Scanning the perimeter. As the trio settled in, Mara finally spoke, her tone calm but firm. "This is safe for now, but we can't stay long." Tom nodded, looking at her suspiciously. Something about Mara's eyes told him she wasn't telling the whole truth. He glanced at Lyra, who sat quietly watching him. Glowing softly in the dim cabin, Mara turned to Lyra, her expression shifting. "You're lucky I found you," she said gently. "But you don't understand yet. You have a purpose or role that others will try to control. Tom's stomach tightened. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Mara sighed, stepping closer. I was sent to bring her back. Not to harm her, but to guide her to where she belongs. Your involvement. It complicates everything. Tom froze. He realized the truth. Mara's intentions were not entirely noble. She had a mission, and it might put Lyra in even greater danger. Lyra's eyes widened, glowing brighter with fear. She whispered urgently, reaching for Tom's hand. No, Tom said firmly. I promised I'd protect her. I won't let you take her. Mara's calm demeanor flickered. You don't understand. I'm helping her survive. If we don't follow the plan, they will find her, and it will be worse. Tom shook his head. We'll face that if it comes. But I won't let her go with you, not now. For a tense moment, the three of them stood frozen, the silence pressing down like the weight of the universe. Then, from the edge of the clearing, a faint hum grew louder. Shadows moved closer. The hunters were not far behind. Lyra's hands glowed bright, illuminating the spaceship. She took a step toward Tom, and he wrapped his arms around her protectively. Mara's device beeped urgently. We don't have time. She shouted. We have to go now. But Tom refused. No, he said, his voice steady. We leave together or not at all. Suddenly, a large shadow emerged from the trees. A mechanical drone with red sensors scanned the clearing. Mara's eyes flicked toward it, calculating. Tom grabbed Lyra and ran toward the ship, with Mara following reluctantly. Inside the ship, Tom helped Lyra climb into a small cockpit. She touched the controls instinctively, her glowing hands interacting with the alien technology. The ship hummed to life, shaking off years of neglect. Mara hesitated at the doorway, then stepped in, reluctantly joining them. As the ship lifted off, red lights blinked across the forest floor. The drones had tracked them this far, but now the trio was moving fast. Outside the windows, trees blurred into streaks of green. Tom held Lyra close, feeling her small hands clutch his arm. Mara stood at the controls, her calm expression returning. But Tom couldn't shake the unease in her eyes. Had they truly escaped danger, or was a greater threat waiting for them beyond the stars? And as the ship rose into the night sky, leaving the forest behind, one truth became clear. Trust had been tested, betrayal had surfaced, and the journey to safety and to uncover Lyra's destiny was far from over. The ship soared above the forest, the hum of its engines filling the small cockpit. Tom held Lyra close, feeling her small hands clutch his sleeve. Her glow had softened, as if her fear had lessened, but her eyes still darted nervously toward the dark sky outside. Mara monitored the controls silently, her expression unreadable. Tom kept stealing glances at her, remembering her earlier words, the hint of betrayal, the hidden mission. Could they trust her now? Or was she leading them into a trap? Suddenly, Lyra's hands began to glow brightly again. She leaned forward, touching the console instinctively. The ship responded instantly, lifting higher into the clouds. Lights blinked, panels hummed, and the alien technology seemed alive in her hands. Tom marveled at her abilities. She wasn't just a child, she was something extraordinary. Then, a signal flashed on the screen. Mara's eyes widened. That's them, she whispered. A friendly ship. They must have received her distress signal. Tom felt a wave of relief wash over him. After days of running, hiding, and fearing the unknown, rescue had arrived. Lyra turned to him, her glowing eyes shining with hope for the first time. She reached out, touching his hand gently. Tom smiled, his heart swelling with pride and protectiveness. But before they could relax, Mara's tone grew urgent. We're not out of danger yet. They can still be intercepted if we're not careful. Tom nodded. We'll face that together. Lyra, are you ready? She nodded, gripping his arm. Together, They steered the ship toward the distant lights blinking in the sky. Lyra's people. The hum of pursuit grew fainter behind them. With every second, they moved closer to safety. Finally, the friendly ship emerged from the clouds. Its sleek, silver frame glimmered under the starlight. Lyra's eyes lit up, and she gasped in awe. Tom guided their ship toward the docking bay, careful and precise. Mara stood silently, watching the reunion unfold. As the ships docked, the hatch opened. Figures emerged, tall, luminous beings with gentle expressions. Lyra's small frame trembled with emotion. She ran forward, embraced by her own kind. Tom watched, a bittersweet feeling tugging at his heart. She was safe, but she was leaving. Lyra turned back, her glowing eyes meeting Tom's. She reached out, touching his hand one last time. It was a silent thank you, a promise that she would never forget the human who had protected her when no one else could. Tom smiled, fighting back tears. "Take care, Lyra," he whispered. Mara approached Tom, her calm expression softened. "You did well," she said quietly. "Not everyone would have fought for her like you did." Tom nodded, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. The forest, the barn, the chase, it all felt like a dream now. And yet, the bond he had formed with Lyra would stay with him forever. As the friendly ship lifted off, disappearing into the stars, Tom turned to Mara. "What now?" he asked. Mara glanced at him, a faint smile on her lips. "Now we prepare. There are more like her out there, and more who will need help. The universe is bigger than we imagine." Tom felt a spark of hope. His life had changed forever. He had faced fear, danger, and uncertainty, but he had also discovered courage, friendship, and the truth that kindness could bridge worlds. And as the stars stretched endlessly above him, he knew one thing for certain: this was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater, a story of hope, trust, and the unbreakable bond between a human and an alien child. The night was quiet once more, but the universe felt alive with possibilities.